I really resonated with the beginning quote of being lonely and trying to unify one's lost self. You can really feel the pain in the woman's eyes when she tears up looking at old pictures of her and her husband or lover. The silence in the streets she walks in is deafening. It all goes back to this theme of loneliness and trying to find oneself. The woman is lost. Her present time is monochrome in color, but then some of the scenes are full of color when her soul tries to break free and when she's at her happiest. So the color really does play a big role into this film. The lady's dancing is powerful and emotional and provoking and carries all her pain. But then we see the switch with so much warm colors and upbeat music, and the main female is happy again and doing things like dancing and surrounded by people, good people. She finds herself again. She's not completely alone anymore. And that's something that is a big message to take from this, that she grieved and moved on. She went from dancing along to dancing alone to dancing with other people, and there is a better tomorrow.
Dreamlike landscape when it comes to her past connecting with her present. Her present is very muted. You see this state of depression, but what really comes to life is these dream sequences, so to speak. We get to see her with her lost love, and we get to have these moments where she comes into life. And what I noticed is that her nails are this bold red color for most of the film. And it isn't until later on that we actually see her with no nail polish at all. And then we end up seeing her in this bold red coat as she's walking on the beach, as they're sharing this poetic moment. There's this dream dancecape that is happening between her younger self and her current self. And it's also dealing with life and death and love and feeling the state of grief and coming to terms with who you are and who you've become and the people who come and go in our lives and the impact that they have. I thought this piece was really incredibly well done. I loved this lead actress going, like, honestly, what was so great about it was seeing her go from this, catatonic state almost to putting her hand in the air and just feeling these expressions move through her body.
I like the sort of honesty of that. And I like the authenticity of that psychological break that the main character had. And just shows how life can be, how stressful life can be. But I think most importantly, what that shows you is the importance of prioritizing mental health and what that can look like in each person. And for example, for this character, her kind of envisioning what peace is for her and what that looks like. I love the sort of release at the end and showing the example of the creative way of showing the example of the release at the end and how that sort of turns into this fun musical number. Again, displaying the source of freedom and joy that the main character is seeking and finds.
Dream of the Return is a movie about loneliness. The loneliness of a woman in her 50s or 60s whose husband is sick. It basically doesn't seem to recognize her anymore, and it's more about her quiet despair because of the situation she's in. But then eventually, thanks to relationships with people, thanks to the contact with other people, she manages to stand back up and start a new chapter of her life. It's a movie that is, the first part is heartbreaking, especially when you find out the situation of her husband and why she seems to be struggling. And but then it's a movie that has a lot of heart and it gives a lot of hope.
That is getting older, and she keeps dreaming about her past when she was young and strong and was dancing. And then the main character meets the younger self, and so then she decides to dance again, and she starts dancing again, finding that passion that she probably lost years before. I think it was a very well done, a very interesting story, which in the end really blended perfectly with the music and the choreography.
Beautiful shot of these three dancers of different generations, with beautiful words for the main character to find her own way back to the sea, and then to her own self, and loving herself again, and just being out there enjoying life. I love the shots at the theater. They were so poetic with the lights.
I loved this kind of idea of having, a dance between younger versions of yourself or different versions of yourself at different ages. But this kind of idea of, I think, at least this is how I took it. I don't necessarily know if this is what it was meant to the message was meant to be, but I think a lot of people have a tendency to kind of lose themselves in life. They get kind of swept up in the everyday routine, and I think that sometimes people can feel like they at some point have this kind of like realization, or they quote unquote like wake up and realize how many years have passed, or how much time is gone by without them really realizing it. I took this as a return to kind of finding yourself, return to honoring those young childlike ambition and beauty and joy, and then returning to that self, returning to these almost not previous versions, but having a return to all of who you are, including these versions.